IGT, baby.
What's cracking, y'all? It's your boy Junior Mafia coming back to you with another video. So we got to talk about what happened on Friday Night SmackDown, and this was a very solid show, and definitely enjoyed it, you know, for what it was brought to us and whatnot, and definitely some things we got to talk about, you know, as the show progresses. So let's not waste any time and let's get right into it, man. So we kick off the show with Cody Rhodes backstage as he's about to make his way towards the ring, and he has an encounter with Jimmy, which we haven't seen him on SmackDown, you know, since the last time he was on the show. And, you know, you had him and Cody, you know, pretty much talking and whatnot. And, you know, Cody wanted to find out, like, what Jimmy doing here, because last time he saw him, he was on Raw. And he pretty much was saying, like, you know, came here to talk to nigga all this in regards to what happened to Jacob and whatnot, and figure this whole thing out. So, as you know, Cody see, they said, all right, no problem. But he also want to bring up, like, how was things with you and Jay? And Jimmy, like, you know how it is. You know, he wants to be on his own, do X, Y, and Z and shit like that. And it's like, it is what it is. Like, he go do his thing, and I'm going to do my thing. And I'm going to talk to nigga all this to find this whole situation going on. So Cody said, all right, when you go handle that with nigga all this, I'm going to go in the ring. So goes in there. And, you know, they in Arizona and all that, so, you know, they turned up and all that. And he grabs the mic, you know, asks, you know, what I want to talk about. So they saying that, well, let's talk about Drew McIntyre. And he brings up about last week, the decision of him grabbing the title and pretty much disqualifying himself. You know, which I said in my previous video, it was never Cody like to do stuff like that. So that's what caught all of us off guard. So, you know, he brings up that, should I apologize for what I did? You know, asking the fans that. And some were saying yes, some said no and all. But in the midst of that, Drew McIntyre comes through the crowd. And, you know, he pretty much talking about, save your apology. I don't want to hear it and stuff like that. And, you know, pretty much just calling Cody a coward, like, you know, you took the coward out of disqualifying yourself and all this other stuff. And they saying, and you know, he brings up about you doing that and the crowd still cheers you. Like, you don't understand that. But yet they still boo me. So as he's saying that, you know, he's like, all right, y'all doing that right there. Y'all pretty much have everything to do with this whole situation of what happened to Jacob Fatu. And he pretty much kind of cleared his name up in the sense of that wasn't me, you know, behind that attack. He says, much as I hate the bloodline and all that, and you a testament to that whole situation, like, I'm not going to do that right there. And it's like, when knowing the opportunity I have, you know, to face you for the title, why would I sit there and try to take him out? Then he brings up about maybe it could have been Jimmy saying, like, you know, he always the bridesmaid and never the bride, and how he pretty much you know, just playing like second fiddle to Jay. So probably he was the type that had enough and go on attack Jacob and all that to call his shot, you know, for the title and all that stuff. And then brings up about you know, he's pretty much similar to his wife Naomi, and by the time he tried to continue on whatever his rant, before I even get to that, excuse me, what he also mentioned was, which was hilarious, I've been getting screwed over so many times and all that now it's my opportunity to finish my story, you know, because it's been confirmed that they having a their title match at Saturday Night Main Event next Saturday. So continue on to what I was saying. He mentioned Naomi's name and all that stuff. And right when he's about to finish talking, in comes Jimmy Uso. He attacks him with the ring announcer. I mean, when he was on top of the announcer desk, and him and Drew McIntyre started brawling, and Jimmy ain't had enough. He was just throwing a bunch of fists at him, and as much as he tried to separate him, he trying to break off, get to Drew. So it took him some time to separate the both of them and all that. And you see Cody jumped in and pretty much calmed Jimmy Uso down, in the midst of that. So when we come back from commercial break, you see Nick Aldis talking to Drew McIntyre backstage, and he's pretty much saying about, you allowing all this to happen and all that stuff. And, I wasn't behind the whole Jacob, getting injured situation. This is your thing to fix. Nick Aldis, so you need to do that. So as he's saying all that, out of nowhere, you see Jimmy charge back at him again. He's crashing out. The same thing Cody did last week is what Jimmy doing now. And he just on full on crash out mode and stuff like that. So, as that whole thing happening, they had to separate them again. So it ended up being confirmed that they're going to have a no disqualification match later on in the show, courtesy of Jimmy and talking about he had enough. He don't want a match. He want to fight. I'm just tired of BS right now. And, I just want to settle things with Drew McIntyre. So the goal is to end up confirming, that he's going to be facing Drew McIntyre in the main event match and then no disqualification match. He's all right. And then it went on about his time. But I wanted to bring this up too. I know I'm all over the place right now because it's, trying to dissect everything that went down. Another thing that caught my attention when Drew was interacting with Cody Rhodes, Cody kept saying let's not waste no time. Fight right here and now and all that, same thing he did last week. And it's you see Drew wanted to go in that ring again to get his get back, but kind of changed his mind at the moment. And Cody, now he's doing things in the sense of he's continuing to, how can I put this? Be more of crash out first and then ask questions later. That's never Cody Rhodes so it was kind of rare to see that. Then I want to talk about this this situation that happened later on in the show. We had Tiffany Stratton taking on Kiana James and whatnot, and of course we know Kiana James was going to lose that match. So afterwards, you see Julia going on an attack and pretty much trying to destroy Tiffany Stratton. Then Jade ended up coming back, after that crazy injury she had, when she I believe she had that title match with Tiffany Stratton. And so as that happening, she goes in for the save. She's taking care of business, getting both Kiana James and Julia up out of here. So once that was done, she turned her attention towards Tiffany Stratton and, extended her hand and, of course, raised it up, just to, be the good sport and all. And I'm thinking, okay, something feels a little off now because she's too friendly about, all this going on. And after losing again, where you could have had a shot to win that title and dropping the ball, she's pissed off about it. So as she's about to leave off, after giving her respect, turns around and clotheslines the shit out of Tiffany Stratton and proceeds to beat this woman down. I'm talking about in the ring, outside of the ring. She flings over there by the announce desk, and she just completely stomping her out. I don't know how many stomps she connected on to Tiffany, but it was a lot. And of course, the JAG security and the refs all try to, break up Jay, to get off of Tiffany, and she's literally moving people away, getting straight to her, stomping her out even more. And now you can tell it's pretty confirmed she's a heel now. And I love this. I love this for her because now it's the moment of truth is here. Many opportunities and you still haven't got the job done yet. And as you know from her AEW days when she been that heel, she wasn't nobody was fucking with her. Let's just keep it a buck. So it's good to see her heel now in WWE. And I want to see what they do with her character. But she was on full crash out mode. She even proceeded to stomp on Tiffany Stratton's knee. And it was a brutal look, So I said this is what's the right call for, and seeing like how depleted the woman division is on SmackDown, you needed that type of spark. Now I know some people dealing with injuries and stuff like that, and at this point, something has to change, and it's been confirmed that we're having a women's championship match at Saturday Night Main Event with Jade taking on Tiffany Stratton. And if I'm being honest with y'all, this is the right time to pull the trigger and make Jade Cargill champion. I feel like Tiffany Stratton's with her with the title, it ran its course. Like, she did good and all that, but I think her title reign was kind of middle of the pack. Outside of the matches she had with Nia Jax and with Charlotte as well, especially with that crazy promo they had between each other and in the match at WrestleMania, nothing really like clicked like well with her, with those title rings and stuff. And at this point now, you just had to move on with the title. But it's just been brutal on SmackDown, especially from the women's division, only because it was very limited women on there that even could compete with Tiffany Stratton for the title. Like, it's been pretty damn tough. So I'm glad to see Jade Cargill, being able to turn heel the way she did, and now in a position where she can potentially now capture that title. When she went backstage, and I think that was Kathy Kelly that was asking the question, like, what was the purpose behind that? And she was saying, like, I'm just taking my opportunity right here and there. Like, I'm tired of being patient and all that. That's what I've been doing, being backseat. Like, I want to be champion, and talking about, when it's all said and done, this is all about power. And I'm going to take it. I'm not waiting no more. So we could potentially get that next Saturday, and I am all for it. I am all for it because this could set up her versus Bianca Belair when she returns. So, amen. Sign me up. I'm looking forward to that. And I love the match that they had with Ilya Dragunov and Aleister Black, who ended up challenging Ilya when he had his open challenge, courtesy of Sami Zayn, and him amping up Ilya, backstage, talking about how, like, I want to congratulate you on winning your title and how much this means, to me, and, how much we did the open challenge things. Like, it started from John Cena, then I started doing it, and I wanted you to continue that tradition. And it was just amping up Ilya. Like, he was fired up. So, when he ended up waiting to see who was going to be his opponent, Aleister Black ended up answering the call, and they had a sensational match. Heavy hitting, some very good spots. Like, I enjoyed it and all, but you knew for a fact Aleister was not going to win. However, Damian Priest ended up coming back, and he has the shades on looking like Dominic Toretto from Fast and Furious and all that. So as he takes the shades off, you see that mark on his eye when Aleister ended up throwing a fireball at his face and all when they had their street fight, I think 2 weeks ago. So I think 2 weeks ago. Yeah, let me know. And because he gets to interrupt that, and that's caused Ilya to potentially, pack up Aleister, cover him for the 1, 2, 3, and he retains the championship. But afterwards, he didn't waste no time. They went in straight there and try to pack his ass up. But of course, right when he's about to do so, Zelina Vega jumps on his back and whatnot, and pretty much tried to like, distract him. So it gives Aleister an advantage to get up out of there. So that's what ended up happening, and it looked like this feud was going to continue, and I'm all for it. I love the back and forth interactions. The matches speaks for itself, so I hope they keep that up, but hopefully it's an end game in this that can propel one of these superstars and all that for a potential title match. So that's what I can hope for at this point. Then we had the main event match with Drew McIntyre and Jimmy Uso, and the match itself was definitely some heavy hitting. Both men had some good offense and all, especially Jimmy in this. He was in full control, and it goes ended up outside the crowd area and stuff like that. Them going back and forth. You know, Drew McIntyre took some crazy bumps to where you see he was bleeding from the back, had whelps and everything. So that was insane. And when Jimmy was getting ready to, like, you know, finish things off and all, Drew was able to counter it by throwing a chair at his face when he jumped off the top rope, and then setting him up to get hit with the Claymore. And Coach got covered for the 1, the 2, and the 3, and Drew ended up winning. So after that, Drew proceeds like, nah, bump all that. I'm going to take this chair, put it around his neck, and proceeds to press his foot down onto it, trying to choke him out. And you had all the Jade security guards trying to get him off there. Then Cody Rhodes music hits, and Cody then was so time storming in there, and of course trying to fight off Drew McIntyre and all, until they end up getting separated as well. So as that's happening, he went in to go check on Jimmy, you know, in the ring, make sure he's good. But as that was going on, you see Drew, and he recovered, and he prepared himself to go in the ring and pretty much hit Cody Rhodes with the Claymore, and he did, and lace him out and all that stuff, and he ended up standing tall at the end. So I say that to say this, because now it even brings up even more questions of who's really behind the attack of Jacob Fatu. You know, on one end, most people may be saying it could be Cody Rhodes in this. Some people said it could have been Randy Orton. Another person you could add up there, some people say Jimmy, excuse me. Even though it sounds crazy and all that stuff, but the way how he's been getting treated and the way how, you know, he's just been second fiddle, who knows? Hell, it could probably been Drew McIntyre and he's just trying to play it off. So a lot of things can happen in that regard. So, you know, you just try to, you know, give us so many suggestions. And I love how there's some, like, multiple people behind us that you can say, okay, they could be behind this whole situation. So I kind of like that. But, you know, all in all, this was a very solid show. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 and whatnot. And it has some cool moments. But comment down below. Let me know what was your favorite part of the show. What's your thoughts on the whole Jacob Fatu situation, and what's your thoughts on Jade Cargill turning heel, you know, and now having her championship match next week. So y'all let me know down in the comments down below. But I appreciate your love and support as always. Continue to keep God first. Trust the process of anything that you do in life. Your time will come, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Peace.